Maybe you're wondering what I'm doing today. Today is watering day, and I have these trays that I did show you before that actually help a lot, so that these plants can drip into them. Also, if there's little bugs that might have hitched a ride, and they have on my brassavolas, they're going to fall down into that basket and they can get them later. So this is what I've been up to. Every single plant gets taken out. I check it, I water them, I put them all back again. Seems like such it seems like such a task, but this is also my exercise. I don't know why I can't turn that. Okay, so everything kind of fits in snug. So I kind of estimated the space I had pretty good. This one here, let's check it out. Now the funny thing is that you would expect your cattleyas and everything to grow in the summer, but not in my case. They tend to push out new growth, as you can see right there. They seem to do their growing and everything during the cooler seasons, but today is kind of hot. So 29 degrees is, what is that in Fahrenheit? I have to check. It's probably 85 Fahrenheit. So it's actually quite warm. So all of this might seem like a burden, but not really. It's part of keeping active. And just maintaining plants where you keep active and keep moving around. You could call it exercise. It's kind of exercise for me. Alright. So that's that part. Still got to clean up the floor though. Always forever cleaning up. So in here I gave this a water. This is my Philodendron Brazil. The newer leaves they're starting to come out, and they are not a bad size. Actually, they could be a bit bigger, but that would be up for not a repot. I like to actually take cuttings and just start all over again. It's easier. You get better roots that way. Maybe here is, it's actually just about finished flowering. These flowers will start falling off actually. Hoya Hindu rope. We got that new growth this year, which is really nice. Let me turn that light on so we get a little bit more light. Up here I think I've shown you this one before. This is a Rhipsalis oh my god, my eyesight. Procreata. Procari something. Can't read the label with my eyes. It's too small. Looks like a typical cactus, doesn't it? But it is a epiphyte. And it lives up here. Actually likes it up there too. It's been growing really well. Something that's put on quite a lot of growth is my Hoya Crimson Princess. It's still putting out all of this nice growth here. Look at this vine coming up here. That is all new. So that one kind of is a bit of a drinker, likes to drink a lot. This newest leaf here is actually really big. Yep, likes plenty of water in the reservoir here, although it was started off that way, so I've kept it and maintained it like that. Down here is my Tillandsia eustenoides. You saw this, right? This is one of my earliest orchids that I got. It was a rescue. It has done magnificent. We got some Tillandsias here. Fuchsiae. Don't know what that one is. Plus, it didn't have a label. This is Villekiana. This one up here, they were in sphagnum moss and a little sphagnum moss, but this one liked it. It's the rubra, but Cotton Candy hated it. So I just mounted it onto this branch, the both of them. Like that. They get 2 to 3 waterings a week, which is, I got to take them all down and hang them off all of my fingers while I take them outside. So these ones have been doing really good. They're in a little sphagnum moss, but not much. So that one's kind of grabbing on with its roots. And so are those. Those ones are it just says air plant. Come on, label, turn around so we can see. Ugh. Oh. Bucci. Buccii. These Buccii actually, ants live inside them. You could call it kind of an ant plant. These are just different varieties. The nice big fat thing there is Salsinata, something like that. And that one's Capitata Peach. Look at this nice big Hoya Sunrise. And Sunrise also has, as you know, it's got that cash pot just to keep the humidity around the roots. This one has some water in the reservoir. It's a cutting off princess over there. It was reverting back, so I decided to just cut that off and grow it and see what happens. And not only, the other reason I cut it off is it wasn't hydrating. It was very shriveled up, but it is starting to grow really well now. So that would be a typical Carnosa. This one here is Hoya Matilde, and it's got this nice new growth coming away. And another one, and it's still in a terracotta pot, but it's in this cash pot that has a good 1.5 inches of water because it likes to send its roots down there to get a drink. Let's see what else we have. Oh, Cryptanthus. That's what you call it. Decided to give a Cryptanthus a go. Try growing it indoors. So this one is kind of on the safe side. It's got a little toothy on the leaves there, but nothing too bad. This is one of my favorite Haworthias, Spider White, it's called. Something that's been doing really well for me is this Sansevieria Grey Honey. It's kind of got a funny name, Grey Honey. I mean, doesn't sound too appetizing. But this thing has really filled out this pot really quick, and it is growing in just a typical soil. It's actually akadama mixed in with average potting mix, so it's not really well draining. It's well draining. Sorry, what I meant to say is it's not a cactus mix. That would just be too dry for it. It doesn't like it. This here is Miltonia, and it still has some flowers to show. Unfortunately not fragrant. If I do grow this outdoors, it has to be mounted and hung under a tree, otherwise it would be dead. It just gets too hot out there for these kind of orchids. Over here is just one of my owls, and it's got some Mammillaria gracilis. Because I've got so much gracilis everywhere, just decided to put them in. The toothpicks are just holding them up while they root. Over here is Ledeboria socialis, and this is a fantastic houseplant. Those of you growing in areas where your lowest temperature is 5 degrees in winter, you can grow it outdoors, but it is frost sensitive. So for me, it is a indoor plant. There's the bulbs, it's kind of a bulb lily, related to lilies. It's in the lily family, but I like its silver and green texture on the leaves. So I'm kind of really enjoy that plant. I love the flowers too. They're pretty tiny, and they hang like little bells. Over here is a couple of very tiny orchids that have gone to sleep for the winter. This one too. I just got to cut it off. Those are my ornaments there. Up here is the jewel orchid, and these are a division I took off this plant. So I was growing it in sphagnum moss, and it was growing alright, but actually it's growing much better now that I put it in a akadama mixed with pumice and potting mix. Now it's doing even better than before. So these are two pieces, they're well on their way growing, and this one I should imagine has plenty of roots on it. So I'm looking forward to until they flower. Flowers are not the biggest, but they make up for it with quantity, and they are nice. I like all flowers. There's no flowers I don't like. I appreciate everything. This is my indoors Nepenthes Gaia. Gaia is a hybrid between two. Nepenthes, and one is Maxima, and I forget the other one. But they have these amazing pictures. They have this red streaking through the green. The nice rim around there. That, as you know, is very, very slippery when it's wet. There's all the longitude, the grooves that are all in these. I think it's a parastone. I can't remember the technical name, but it's grooved. So when it gets wet, it's extremely slippery and bugs fall in. And it has the hood on the top that's usually got something sweet nectar to attract bugs, and they fall in. I do have Alata in the garden that will be coming in for the winter. This plant might have to move to the living room where it's a bit warmer in the winter. Some more Tillandsias there. This one has produced a lot of babies, as you can see there. It's the main plant. Eventually it'll be used as nutrients to go into these three offsets. This is Tillandsia funkiana. And funkiana is, I mean, when it starts to offset and grow, it grows naturally like that. It goes down and then makes a loop up, so that's quite natural. Also the length of it is natural. So this one, once it starts branching a lot and you get a lot of these, it actually looks like a cutting off a conifer tree. But what's great about funkiana is it's zygomorphic red flowers, so it's pretty unusual. There's some of the Tillandsia usinoides there, and we got some. This one here was one that I got that was really run down and not doing too well. It's in the nursery a long time. I rescued it, and 5 months down the track, it's looking really great. On the back there is a wreath. It has Tillandsias attached to it. We also have this one. So let me move this. I'm a usinoides-aholic. I keep telling myself, don't buy another one, don't do it, don't do it. I got enough. This is a lovely collection that I put in this wire basket that you might see in a Daiso store. And I zip tied or twist tied them on. And the reason why I put moss in there is I'm hoping that they produce enough roots that they actually grow into the moss and attach. Then I can just remove the twist ties eventually. And it also just holds some humidity, because this thing dries out super fast because it's in a wire basket. But you want it to. After you water them, you want them to dry out pretty quick. You don't want them staying wet for a week. That would rob the roots straight away. 1 week of wet media intact with the plant and it'll rot. It should dry out within at least the next 2 days. It should dry right out. So that's just a tip for you guys. Maybe you want to grow some. And once again, the moss is something for it to grab onto, so I don't have to have twist ties, because I kind of don't like the look of the twist ties, but they have to be put on there to hold the plant steady. And you can use zip ties like I have with this one, which you just saw before. Or you can sit them in a basket like that. There's some nice sunshine coming in now. This is another kind of Rhipsalis here. There's very long, narrow leaves. I don't have its name, but it is a very small growing one. What else do I have? Fairy Castle here. It's been getting really big. And that one, when it's dry, I give it a good water. I don't let it go bone dry, by the way. And this is a Haworthia species, attenuata or something like that. It's a cutting off a much larger plant that multiplied that I got from a neighbor. These leaves down here is just the cold damage because it was outside one year, but I soon adjusted the lid and everything to put up with to trap enough warmth and stop the cold getting in. This very, very long thing that goes up and up and up and up forever. It's got this new branch coming off it. And another one. This is Peperomia Hope, which is a hybrid, but it looks exactly like one of the parents. It's one of your hardier peperomias. So I just water it, and then I drain out what's left. I don't leave anything in the reservoir. It doesn't seem to like that, but it likes to be thoroughly watered until it's nice and drenched. Tip out the excess, and then when it dries out again, not bone dry by the way, when it's 50% drying out, give it another good water. But don't leave anything. When I did leave some water in it a few times, it started to drop leaves. So I put it down to, it doesn't like to be sitting in water. It's kind of semi-epiphytic, so it does climb up trees. Yes. Just got to say that this Phalaenopsis leaf is rather big. It's a big leaf. During the hellfire weather of July through to most of September, I have this cloth here, and it's to remind me to droop it down over the leaves. It's pretty. It's like a head banner, right? But you do need something quite thick like that. And I have the pegs there, and I put it down over all the leaves to shade them. And I mean, shade them a lot. You can see here, you can kind of see through it, but it's pretty thick. Because without it, it'll get burnt. Phalaenopsis do not like direct sun when it's hot. Down here is a Hoya retusa. Hope I got that right. It put out a new growth here. I give it some water so that it's just moist, and I let it dry out between waterings. It seems to like to dry out a little bit. Doesn't like to stay moist all the time, because I found that out because I would have the one or two leaves that come straight out. It would fall off. So it's telling me what it wants, letting me know by dropping leaves. It's in a very well drained mix. However, is it the correct mix or not? I don't know. If this thing doesn't grow any more than this within the next year, I'm going to change its mix. I'll let you have a look at some new plants. Up here is a one of my newest Hoyas, and I got Solig Amiana. But you know what? I just found another 4 or 5 that look identical. The leaf looks identical, so now I'm just back to not knowing what it is until it flowers. But I would bet that it is in amongst those 4 or 5 ones that have this particular leaf. It'll be the hardiest one, because that's the ones that they usually supply at the store. They don't supply the very rare or hard to grow Hoyas. Got a nice green leaf. This one here is Hoya Lee, and you can tell by these roots on every internode that it is a rock dweller. So it likes to grow on rock. It's growing really well in this mix, which is cocoa chips and pumice, but if it stopped growing altogether, I would know what to do. I would put it into the Akadama, like I did with Hoya Curtisii. Her Curtisii loves that Akadama. It's been growing so well. Up here is a giveaway. I'm going to give it to somebody who loves Hoyas. It's got that lovely new growth coming away. It's just growing in sphagnum, and it's the Hoya Sunrise. Just sphagnum moss, nothing else. This is also one that I will give away too, and it is a nice, large, ready to go Hoya Bella for somebody who wants it. And let's take a look at my cuttings. It's a cutting off a Hoya that I don't have a name for. If I give it a name, I'm probably making a mistake, so I've got to wait till it flowers. But it's in this plastic cup that has holes cut in it, kind of what you would do with those orchids. What do you call them? Deciduous orchids that grow in Brazil. What are they called again? I'm good at forgetting. But it is putting out some roots. So you can see there, you can see those nice white roots. Look at that. So when I do water it, the excess water will run out, not on my floor, I mean in the sink. And then it'll have this from down there. It's in a really well draining mix there of humus and bark. So I've got to wet that again. And this one too. It's got the holes around it like that. It's the Hoya latifolia. Probably got that wrong. That's the first name that come up in my head. It's probably the wrong name for it. But it does have the holes there, and we got some roots. You can see that white one right there above the E on easy. So nice and happy, ready to go to somebody once it has started growing. Comes with that piece of trellis. Alright, and down here I did give my fowl. There's 3 Phalaenopsis in there. I gave them all water the other day, and as I said before in one of my other videos, you let it dry right out until it's crunchy dry. You put your finger right in there and you can't feel any moisture at all, then it's time for watering. And the proof is in the pudding. So look at how beautiful those roots are. Don't mind this cut. This thing was growing very, 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 very long, and I had to cut it because the bottom part of it wasn't doing too well. Didn't have any roots, and I just used some candle wax to seal the wound. Put it back in here, and I have got it going on a lean because they just grow much better. Bigger, fuller, and healthier leaves if you just let them lean naturally. So you can see that this one also had a cut. It had its old root system cut off, and it had the candle wax to seal the wound. I just want you to see those roots there, and you see how shiny and healthy they are. So that's letting the sphagnum dry right out, so it's crunchy. This pot may be big, but all the way up to here is styrofoam. Now the styrofoam is in big chunks because it gives something for me to shove these supports into, these rods, orchid stakes, sorry, not rods. So it sticks into the styrofoam so that they stay up. Number two, the orchid does not require sphagnum moss all the way down that deep. That would kill it real fast from rot. The sphagnum moss only starts from about here. It's an inch. There's only an inch deep of sphagnum moss, and that makes this plant happy. You can see all these nice new leaves coming away. So I know that these two ones have got a setback. I overwatered, and I would keep it too moist. Didn't let it dry out, like I said. Number two, temperatures become like hell in the summer here, and it's just far too much. Phalaenopsis, I mean, once you get to about 30 degrees, you should start thinking about how you're going to protect them. I'm a dum-dum, so I got a great big head banner, or a thin sheet that you would use, just a thin sheet, draped it over it. I mean, instead of just moving the plant, I just could have moved it over there. But being the dummy I am, I'm trying to protect it from the sun coming in. I mean, I'm so stupid sometimes. But the best thing to do is, if you can move it to another area, it's away from the direct sun and it's in summer, do that first rather than drape something over it, okay? Because one thing is that I notice is, if you touch the leaves and they feel cool, your phall's happy. If you touch the leaves and they feel hot, okay? Hot. What I mean about hot is hotter than touching your skin. I mean hot. I mean, that's going to die, alright? This weather today is, this is late October, so it's kind of mild. These leaves are nice and cool, so no problem. But definitely in the summer, you got to get it out of any direct sun. Shade, bright shade. So what I mean about that is, you got some sun there, no, put it right there, when no sun gets on it. It'll be fine, it'll grow real well. Okay, I'm blabbing away here. It's my jumbo Cattleya. Had that beautiful, nice, big new cane, and it had a sheath that was empty. Oh wow. It's got this nice new cane coming away, plus roots. This is growing in a pot, and it's a shallow pot, and it's almost all pumice. Okay, so there's nothing that's really going to biodegrade in there too badly. This one is a very hardy one, Blue Heaven. I've introduced that many times. It has a vigorous root system, just like Lelia's. It had a sheath coming up, and it feels like there's something in it, so fingers crossed that this is going to give me a flower. It's got my fingers crossed. Also, this one here is peeking out something that looks remarkably like a flower spike. What is this damage here? Well, we did have a few days of constant rain all day, all night. And it got a little bit wet in here, but this thing is such a hardy orchid that it can just pull through and recover. So this damage won't spread. It's a very hardy because it's got that Laelia in it, Laelia anceps, and so this is just something that happens from excessive rain, and it got quite cold, not freezing, just chilly, about 15 degrees, which is about 70 Fahrenheit. So it wasn't freezing, but it was just raining a lot and didn't like it. So that looks like a flower spike, so I hope so, because this has magnificent flowers on it. Gosh, look at those marks. They look like bullets. Well, that's what happens. Plants get beaten up, right? But that's what Cattleyas like. They like to be a little bit beaten by the sun. Anyway, that's all from me for now. Thanks for watching. Hope you found this interesting. I'll see you again next time, but before we go, let's have a quick look at Dyneema polybourbon. Just putting out those roots. Finally it's starting to get happy. It does not like the heat, but it did put up with it. It did, but it didn't grow either. This one, however, did. That where my touching with my finger is its new cane or bulb, and this is the banana orchid because it looks like bananas, but it grows as a lithophyte in treeless grasslands in central Brazil, because I watched it on Stephen Van Campen Lewis's trips to Brazil. So these are lithophytes growing on rocks, and man, is that tough. Biffineria is so tough. It just keeps growing through that hellfire heat of summer. This one, however, started to get sad because I overwatered it during the summer, and it did lose a little of its old growth and some of the new bulbs, but however it's recovered and it's starting to put out new growth on my Lindley. I love Lindley. Once I can grow a much fuller plant, it has lovely miniature Cattleya flowers in profusion. Kind of like that. I like the mini ones too. Anyway, that's it. Gotta go now, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye. Welcome back to My Life with Plants. I'm Newman. Let's do a little update on things that are in Kokedama. Should be this one here. So this is Vanda falcata, and it is in the Kokedama. In this pot here, you can see the big hole in the bottom that was made with a pestle. They had a pestle there where they wrapped moss around and around, and what do they do it? Well, hello. Some slaty bugs in there. Sleeters. They won't do any harm. So why the moss ball? Why not just stick it in there? because with a moss ball, the medium is up high. It means that it just keeps draining away, and it's a lot more oxygen for the roots. The roots don't tend to go into it, they tend to grow over it, as in this one here. So they don't like to grow in it. Vandas don't like to put their roots in them, in anything, any media. They just like to hold on to it. So it's just something to grip onto. Dendrobium moniliforme, variegated. That one's also got the moss ball. And as the moss slowly turns peaty, it'll be fine. It'll wash away any excess rotting materials. Will be washed away by the rain. Up here you can see another one. So once again, having it up and highly mounded up, the roots grow over the top of it. It's nice and aerated. No matter how much rain it gets, it won't rot the roots. It's the best way to use your kokedama. This one doesn't. It's just planted in the pot like that. This one looks like it's going to pop out any second now. It's almost come out of the pot. So I've got to tie something to hold it in there. It was almost falling out. But that's how they like it. They like to grow that way. It's almost fell out. Would have found it down underneath the tree. I can just put zip tie over the top. Zip tie it down so it doesn't fall out. Looks nice and healthy. Vanda falcata. Next to it is another Dendrobium moniliforme. It's pretty warm today. It's 29. I just tripped over a big block. Gosh. Okay, this one is also in the kokedama moss ball. It's actually growing some moss on there. Nice and healthy. This one doesn't quite have a moss ball, but there's barely any moss in there. It's almost nothing. It's just a tiny bit of moss. This one has no growing media whatsoever. It's just stuck in there and left to grow. This one does have a moss ball. As you can see, it's nice and heaped up. And it's doing fine. That is a Dendrobium that's native to Japan. Put the name on the screen. One that isn't in a moss ball is this, because I bought it like that. Dendrobium green eye, which is a hybrid between two Dendrobium, the moniliforme and a nobile type. And this one is the same one. It's been doing really well. And this is a Dendrobium nobile type. It's very hardy. It can stay out here all winter, even though they say don't do it. I've seen them in the neighborhood do fine. This is falcata, and it's mounted in this piece of wood. So it's starting to grab onto it already. That's pretty quick. See, that root has already grabbed on, so that was fast. Besides having moss, mounting is just always the best way. But for those people that don't have access to branches and they can't afford to buy mounts, then they buy sphagnum and just make it moss ball. thought you might want to have a look at this. It's the frog lily, and it's native to Japan. It is in flower now. It's a pretty magnificent looking thing. Frog lily. Mosquitoes buzzing around my legs. Dendrobium jenkinsii. These kind of miniature hard-caned Dendrobium lindleyi and all of those types. You're best to mount them. They don't like being in any medium at all. They would just kill them. This is a piece of Dendrobium that I will just show you in a minute. It is doing really well now on this mount. I decided to mount it like that because I haven't been doing too well with them. Also, they hate heat. They do not like too much heat. They like to be underneath the trees, like this one here. I don't know why I keep forgetting its name. Lerdigicii. Looking forward for that to make flowers. It's going to stay under here all winter. I'm not bringing it in. Doesn't need to be. And of course, last of all, this one here, which is really rooting on. Look at that root. It's gone up and over. So once again, these Mandas like to establish a good root system before they put any effort into growing new leaves. So that's normal. Okay. That's the update. You can have a look at this native sedum here. Sedum spectabile. And it is a magnet for insects. You get many kinds of butterflies. There's one flying right there. There's one happily getting nectar. So if you want something that attracts a lot of kinds of butterflies into your garden, you should get a spectabile. Sedum spectabile. And spectabile will die down, so all of these thick stems or thick leaves will die down to the tubers, and then the tubers will start growing again. In the spring, they'll look like little cabbages, and they come away with fresh growth. And then it starts to elongate up and then flower. Well, I'm here and just showing you little bits of everything so we can fit it in the video. This is my Phylogeny intermedia. And down here in the jungle down here, these are all the fat bulbs of the Phaeus flavus, which has big leaves that are reminiscent of Lycast. The ones look like Lycast, so that's a terrestrial orchid. And my only Cymbidium, right to there, has been doing really well ever since I used shade cloth and kept it out of the vicious sun. Down here is a cold hardy Cymbidium. It's native to Japan, and the Pleones will drop their leaves going dormant. So I'll cut the water. And the mosquitoes are going to town. Phylogeny has to come in for sure. This is a nice big plant. There's a lot of bulbs on it. It loves water, and it's growing in sphagnum moss. or sphagnum. Ooh. Nothing but sphagnum for this. And it gets a lot of water. It's a little heavy. This shade hoth that doesn't come with that bar. I just wired it on there. Let me put the pegs on the shade cloth because I'll just forget. I haven't got something in my direct line of sight, I forget it. So Coelogenes, yes, lots of water, does not like heat at all. When you get to 30 degrees, think about how you're going to protect it, because it doesn't like any more than that, really. So a plant I'm going to give away, it's a Philodendron Brazil. It's all trailing down here. Got somebody in the neighborhood I saw that likes plants. Look at them all filled out all along their windows and out on the balcony. I might run into them one day and give them some plants. Okay, look at that nice tall ceroid cacti. They've grown a lot this year. Anyway, that's it, and we'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.